Now on dotaboom.gg, you don't even have to make a deposit to open cases, because all new users will immediately get 50 cents on their balance, which can be spent on opening cases right away. Open a multicast case and get the chance to grab 4 skins at one go. Open a multi-fix case and you're guaranteed to get 2 skins at once. Thanks to the reputable, provably fair system, you can be 100% sure that the result will be fair. And by the way, at the end of the event, the best 20 players will share all these exclusive sets and arcana items with a total value of over $300. So pause the video right away, use this promo code and get a 5% deposit bonus, a free case, and extra 50 cents for registration. Click the link in the description, activate the promo code, claim your bonuses, and then come back and continue watching this video.
Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about Dawnbreaker. Dawnbreaker is a hero that has seen a meteoric rise in the meta, especially in the pro scene. I mean, I've seen it rising in pubs like crazy as well, but this hero is just way better than I initially expected. Honestly, one of my main flaws or gripes with Dawnbreaker is that I always felt that the hero just doesn't scale that well. However, the tempo of this hero with solar charged is unbelievable. And today's video is going to give you guys a very clear idea of how to abuse this hero, how to play incredible tempo, and so on and so forth. Now, the one thing I do want to say, guys, is that Team Spirit has clearly drafted around this hero a bit. You do want to try to pick it with some sort of disable. Now, that doesn't have to be a stun. It can be something like Quap Dagger, right? That is a combo I'm a huge fan of, the Quap Blade Mail build with Max Dagger, Big Slow with Dawn Ulti. Doesn't have to be a stun, but you want to make sure at the beginning of the game you're looking at who on your team is going to be the stun or the slow to set up for your ulti, as you generally want to use it offensively and a bit less defensively. Okay, so something really interesting about this hero is the innate. It's very different than a lot of other innates as it scales down as time goes on. Basically, you get damage at the beginning of each daytime. So at the start of the game, when it becomes daytime, you get damage. He actually had 14 at some point, meaning he's hitting for over 70, scaling up his Q and basically using the fact that his Q is based on his damage to really abuse this CK. And I've seen a lot of Dawnbreakers catch people off guard with this just 70 damage plus Q in the early levels to get kills, a lot of denies, and so on and so forth. So yeah, like here, the CK goes in for a deny, punishes that deny with a nice Q doing about a fourth of his health. And so yeah, that's a big advantage of this hero. You hit really hard, look at his item build, 2 gauntlets, 2 branches, stick, ships out the tangos. After that, gonna queue up a bracer. And yeah, basically you wanna be pretty aggressive in the early levels. You wanna contest a lot of denies. You wanna really make sure you're playing for all of the CS because you hit extremely hard at level 1. So level 2, naturally you're going to take your W, but in this lane it's going to be very hard for them to make any moves. The supports are aligned against Chen. Chen is exceptionally good at kind of just slowing down the ability to make goes happen with mana burn. So generally in this lane I don't expect too much to happen. It's a mistake for him to overcommit, honestly. It takes a lot of mana, and I don't see him really just poking down this CK, at least not anytime soon. So should be a pretty chill lane, and just take a look at his items. He's actually not going for double bracer. He went for singular bracer into second gauntlet, and now he's going to be going straight for the soul ring. So eventually he's able to find a kill on the Chen. Nothing crazy here, just an overextension from the enemy, good punish. Generally what you have to do on Dawnbreaker to get kills is use the slow from the W, right, the 28% movement speed slow, to set up for the Q. Pretty basic, just if you haven't played the hero, it's really important to keep that in mind. Generally, that's how the kill goes. You throw your W, you pull it back, the fire trail slows, and you set up for your Q. Okay, so this is when the hero gets interesting. You hit your ulti, and now Dawnbreaker becomes a completely different hero. He also went into boots next, and now he has phase boots on his courier, which is huge. The phase boots plus solar guardian timing is almost a guaranteed kill on any stun. And so essentially at this point of the game, he's just going to be looking to make a move. They go in, immediately you can see the lion stun into Donald, and it actually missed, which is pretty funny. I guess the line didn't have mana to hex. Yeah, line didn't mana to hex. Otherwise, that would have been a complete freebie. Either way, end up getting the job done. They get a nice little kill onto the sniper, which is the biggest kill in the game, clean up onto the shaman, and they end up outnumbering the side of Falcons. And that's what you want to do. And honestly, guys, really try not to react to enemy moves, because generally, if you're using Dawnbreaker ulti to save someone, there's a high chance it will miss. This ability is way better used as a follow-up to a disable. So just keep that in mind. That mentality is really important. Now he ends up taking a stack here. He's basically 1 HP. He could even consider going back to base here, but here's the big thing that you need to think about with Dawnbreaker, guys. Solar Charged works on your ulti. If you don't know what this facet does, basically every time she procs her E, so every 3 attacks, she procs E, it crits, it heals in an AoE, and most importantly, it lowers the cooldowns. It works on Solar Guardian, right? So essentially the game plan of this hero is ulti, and then farm. Spam your Q as much as you can, right? Because the Q counts as luminosity attacks, and you just get your ulti back up. And so that is the gist of the hero, but a lot of players don't understand that. They try to keep making moves and keep making moves. The best way to play Dawn is, again, follow up a stun, and then immediately, as you can see him use his Q here, just trying to get his ulti off cooldown, obviously farm up the wave, prioritizing using his Q to farm and not the W. Just in general, again, if you have the opportunity, it just speeds up the ult, and now his ult is back up much quicker than it would have been otherwise. And you can imagine, as the game gets later and later, and you attack faster and faster just by naturally leveling up and having stats, you can proc your E more and more, and get more and more ultis. Now we are going to see him go for a defensive ulti here, which again, this is why they are far less optimal. It ends up missing here, and he's going to try to chase with his W. They don't initially get the move, and he's going to go back to top. This is a sign of a very disciplined Dawnbreaker. It's back to top, and his main goal should now be to farm, and again, use his Q as much as possible, especially in neutral camp. So pushes in the wave. I would like to see him, okay, he's probably just going to, wow, really going for the Chen, I was going to say. I wouldn't even mind seeing him put a bit less priority on like the pressure here and just continuing to hit neutrals. Okay, he's actually going to make his way down bottom. I mean, this sniper is insanely out of position, so sure. I mean, just good situational recognition from Collapse as he's back to farming. And so this is what a lot of offlane players kind of struggle with. They get too wrapped up in every single play. They'll see something like slightly happening and they start gravitating over to the play. If you want to get to the next level, guys, you have to be an offlane player that just is greedy. You have to be a little bit greedy on these types of heroes. Obviously, you know, it depends on your hero, but most offlaners, like frankly, most offlaners want to farm a lot. So we're going to see him take these back ancients. His ulti is now back up. And at this point, he needs to look at his Clockwork, his Monkey King, who probably has Diffusal soon. Okay, soonish. His Clockwork and his Lion until Monkey King has his Diffusal. So gonna farm up the lane, actually backpacking his Vlads to try to hide the aura. That's pretty crazy. We'll see if it actually gets the kill as the Lion's gonna stun in. Not opting to ulti. It could mean that he loses some damage, but no. 3 level advantage. 3 level advantage is pretty nuts. And oof, the E with the Vlads. And so let's talk about itemization now. So itemization on Dawn, I would say there's a couple of different lines. I would say there's Vlad's first, Blade Mail first, and Aghanim first. The way you discern between the three is, in my opinion, how good is the Vlad's and how good is the Blade Mail. If they're both trash, then obviously you go for Ags. Now, Vlad's, you need to look at your teammates. You cannot just buy it for yourself and say, I need sustain. If you need sustain, you should probably just ship out the occasional salve or just farm more. Your E will heal you. You can see it heals a lot. Obviously, a lot of that was Vlad's, to be fair. But yeah, it needs to be good on other heroes too. He has an SF who right-clicks, and he has a Monkey King who right-clicks. And so when you have 2 other heroes that are going to use the Vlad's, then I think there's an easy justification for the item. This is also a decent Blade Mail game. Frankly, it's very good against Sniper. It's very good against Razor. It's actually quite bad against Shaman and Chen, and not so good against CK, and so it's not the best. So yeah, definitely a Vlad's game. If you're against something like Gyrocopter or Leshrac or, you know, Sniper, these heroes that really hate Blade Mail, Wind Ranger, then it's great to pick up that item, to proc it after you go in with Solar Guardian. And so something that I like that Collapse does a lot, as we see him go for another kill with the help of his Clockwork here, is use the gate, right? He'll use Solar Guardian, end up on the other side of the map, and instead of committing his TP to farm, he'll use the gate. This is so that he has the ability, if he needs to TP mid or top, any sort of dive in the future. This is definitely an idea that Collapse just has, and so I wanted to show it. But yeah, back to the neutrals. Again, autoing the neutrals a lot is great, right? Autos in the queue is what you want to prioritize, as we'll see it again here. And his ulti is continuing to speed up. He gets some mana for his Lion, probably should farm the stack. Okay, he thought about using his, oh wow, they're really gonna go for a kill? Okay, the Clockwork's coming in from the side. So this does look like a kill onto the Shaman. It's kind of deep. This is a good fight for the Razor. Now I was gonna say, as fortunately they're so far ahead this game where they can make plays like that, but in general, guys, plays like that are what you should typically avoid. And you can see it didn't even end up going so well. Maybe you could argue he forced some reactions, but like that is not the priority play. And in your pubs, if you find yourself just constantly diving towers without your ult, you're probably doing something wrong and you're getting baited into bad moves. You can dive with your ult. Frankly, it's often a good idea. The enemy will respond, you'll be a number up, and you can take a fight. Right, but in general, it's just what he's doing here. Back camps, waiting for the next move from his team. As he's backing up a little bit here, probably afraid of the Shaman. Coming around behind, Falcons 5-manning the bot tower. They're pretty desperate. So he's going to avoid it, trying to complete his axe. which we'll get into in a moment. He's back up to the bot wave. The W is way better at farming the wave safely, so if you're scared, then you absolutely need to use the W to push out the wave, as he's thinking about going top, but decides it's not necessary. Good discipline. Pinging his Ags. Dang, I'm very close to this item. He's gonna clean up the wave. One creep off. Wow, actually, again, holding his... I guess the Q is better at getting the last hits. I think that's probably a big part of it as well. He's using the Q on the creep waves. Even when he doesn't need the solar charge, I think a big part of it is just getting the last hits. You see another kill attempt here. Throws in his W. Has to be a little afraid. I mean, the enemy team kind of knows they're here. Nice cogs. It's not going to be enough. He has to kite out. Things getting a little weird here. He's got his Ags now, so the clock can honestly go in kind of like a psycho. They absolutely want to take a fight on this Ags timing. I mean, this Ags, so quickly to show what it does, you now linger. Your aura lingers, so this healing lingers for 3 seconds. And the heal per pulse is increased. So basically, you channel it faster, you go up and down way quicker, so it's a chain stun, and you heal afterwards. It's really good as a chain stun, and you want to use it not solely offensively, but primarily offensively. It does become a better save tool because it's much harder for the enemy to react, right? If they go on someone and you ulti, they probably can't react nearly as fast, and we'll see it here. So this is a wonderful example of a defensive ulti. Monkey King caught up position, but they're so far ahead that he feels that going in with the ult is a good idea. Usually if someone gets picked off this isolated, or it's not that isolated, but pretty isolated, you don't want to ulti in because often you'll feed as well. But with an 8k advantage, which they're definitely feeling, it kind of makes sense. The healing already proccing on the Monkey King. It starts proccing when you're in the air, and then when you come down, right, the heal is still going. So there's landing damage, there's damage per pulse, right? So afterwards, he's pulsing and dealing damage in any way. But more importantly is the heal, which is more significant, right? So keeping the Monkey King alive, allowing to get off his W, Q onto the sniper, trying to finish the job. And at this point, you're just waiting your cooldowns. Hero's very cooldown reliant to do anything. As he'll throw his W, slow up the Razor, cut off the exit angle, and they end up winning the fight. So yeah, the Ags, as you can see, this hero is one of the best tempo heroes in the game because it can respond to aggressive moves, defensive moves. Once you have the Ags, as you saw there, it is much better as a defensive option because it heals, and because it comes down so quickly that, frankly, most heroes cannot react and get at it, especially supports, which are often the best targets. That is why a lot of pro teams love picking Dawnbreaker into Shadow Shaman. If he goes in for a Shackle, you can cancel it globally, and so it's very hard for him to pick people off, and he's probably going to get stunned, allowing you to get a big target, right, in the ulti. And now, look at this ulti cooldown. It's so short. Once you see him get into, like, the Roche, start to hit the Roche, every time his E procs, the ulti is just shortening and shortening and shortening. You can see these seconds randomly tick off as he goes to the triangle, using the W to bring the camps together. This is just efficient with Vlad's. I mean, it's good with the E, but it's especially efficient with Vlad's. As the sniper gets, the Lion gets shot to death, and with another Q usage, his ulti's back up. And so it's probably about like 15 to 20 seconds quicker. Probably more around 15 to 10. But yeah, it's really awesome. So I like what he buys next. Personally, I think it's generally a mistake to try to scale on Dawnbreaker. I think this hero is best as an aura bot at some point. I think either like rushing a Radiance and going like Radiance Harpoon BKB is acceptable. Even on offlane, I think it's acceptable in some games. But in general, this like basically your just follow up is much nicer because you don't have to scale. You scale by enabling your other better scaling heroes, right? I think when people go like Deso on this hero as an offlaner, I get it. You want to blow up some sup, but I think in general, your ability to hit a nasty peak, a true game-winning peak, just isn't usually there. It's a bit too hard unless you full commit on it with Vlads and Ags. You're just not doing that. So yeah, much prefer what he is going for here, which is a Crimson. Insanely good Crimson game. I mean, this is some nasty Crimson game against practically all of their heroes. I think Shaman, yeah, I think it even blocks Shaman Snake. I'm not certain about that one, but yeah, back into the jungle, another fight breaks out. And again, this hero eventually, especially when you're winning, becomes pretty easy. The execution is simple. You just follow up a stun. You can save people, but you typically, ulting offensively, you want to follow up a stun, and you'll see you become a chain stun. As the Lion goes in here, he sees the Shaman, and again, this is why this hero is so good against Shadow Shaman, as maybe he could have tried this angle the ulti to try to keep his line up a little bit, but the heals will get him a bit. Pops a Crimson, and the fight is over. And again, that's why you're such a good shaman response, instantly canceling the shackle. It's, going a little deep. Going a little deep. Falcon sees this, they try to punish, and yeah, okay. Team Spirit getting a bit cocky, definitely getting a bit cocky. But yeah, next up he's got a Holy Locky queued up, which I don't mind, you know? I think, generally I'm not a huge fan of this item late, but it makes sense. Your ulti is healing, and you use it on someone, right? So you save someone with your ulti, and then you also heal them, right? So it's just so good with heroes like Monkey King and Shadow Fiend, who are going to deal the damage, and just need to be kept alive. Okay, again, back to the triangle. Notice how he is very keen on farming, again, especially when his ult is down. This ulti does scale really well in terms of cooldown. It goes all the way down to 70, and so it becomes much easier to have it almost permanently up in the late game. I mean, obviously that's an exaggeration, but it's pretty crazy the point in which you can get to. Next thing to talk about is talents. He ends up taking the Celestial Hammer Slow. I think most players would be tempted to take 12 damage, which I understand. But honestly, again, you could see how he sees himself in this game. He does not see himself as the 1v9 carry, which you can try to do. He sees himself as the disable, as the follow-up, as the control, as the aura. It's a 51% slow with this talent, guys. Very, very significant. At level 15, no-brainer Solar Guardian cooldown with this build. At 20, you have an incredible Solar Guardian radius, which is so good for stunning enemy BKBs, as Dawnbreaker ulti, when it comes down, stuns for 1.6 seconds up to 1.8, nowadays level 18, and it goes through BKB. So it's really good against heroes like Razor. If Razor tries to commit on someone, the Dawn is going to punish it, and he's going to, deal with the BKB very efficiently. So this radius makes it practically impossible to kite it, and so Dawn becomes one of the best BKB responses in Dota. Just keeping the map open. Get a come. Farm up the mid wave. It's very good to deal with the dangerous waves on this hero. Again, prioritize using your W if you're taking a scary wave, one that you think might get you killed. For his next item, he's got Shard queued up. It's going to help him use his Q. It gives you free pathing on your Q, or just like free movement. And then he's going AC, or he has AC queued up, which is just a matchup thing. I don't think AC is like the item in a lot of games. I think Shiva's tends to be better, but he has 2 right-click cores, similar to the reason why Vlad's is so good. And he's against 3 right-click cores and a lot of minus armor. So it's a really good Assault Cuirass game. But generally, I would prefer something like Shiva's, which is just a bit more like... It's just kind of a good item with Solar Guardian, You kind of get in there, use this really effective Shivas. It's super, super nice. He also had Refresher queued up, which you can actually afford the mana on this hero once you have Ags and like Holy Locket. And so I would have loved to see the Refresher. In the late game, it's just really nice as, we see him try to control up this Razor. No 20 talent. This actually looks pretty sus. The Crimson, look at this. The Razor does no damage to the Clockwork. It's taking them literally forever to try to kill this Clockwork. Kind of insane. Yeah, this fight looked pretty weird. They're going to try to go on the CK. Oh, the stun actually missed on the CK. That's pretty problematic. Wow. Super well done by Falcons, trying to bring this game back, as hard as that is. And now he's level 20. Ulti up soon. They try to go on the Razor. Can they actually kill this guy? It's pretty low damage. Pretty low damage. He's sticking on him. This is actually, you can see in this clip here, the effectiveness of the W with the 10 talent, right? Like, this Razor just cannot move. And when he decides to kite back up through it, he cannot move. And so it really sets up for the Q. Unable to be dodged, and... Oh, I guess he's not going to get him. Wow, the Shaman... Damn, I mean, okay, I get it. I get it. They want to kill Monkey King, but I don't know about that. Oh, Monkey King barely died, too. So yeah, I mean, he's doing quite a bit. Just by existing. As he throws another hammer, unfortunately the slow did not come out. So that should be eventually the end of the fight as his ulti gets canceled again. So this is so awkward. No! The grenade pushed him up. Oh, what a clowny fight. Yeah, I mean, again, this is kind of why I just don't really love the scaling builds. I mean, it's just hard. Even with damage items, sometimes you struggle to kill people. Obviously, he would have finished off some of these targets with damage items. I mean, assuming he would be alive. So he's going to go down here. But, all right, we're going to see another ulti moment come out in just a bit. Going to show why this hero is just such an efficient chain stun. As the sniper approaching the top wave, uses his grenade. Laurel scouting him out. Obviously calling out that he's going to go to the top wave. And look at this. Very hard to react. Nullifier came out. I mean, he doesn't even have a defensive item on sniper. The sniper seems kind of done. And yeah, it's just an easy chain stun. Kill onto Mallory. And that's how you want to use it, right? You want to blow up a target and then hope the enemy team takes the fight anyway when you're up numbers. Best case, you use it on a core. It's really good to chain stun cores. Sometimes if you overcommit on something like a sup, it's not so good. As yeah, this game is over. But all right, thank you guys so much for watching. At level 25, by the way, I think Celestial Hammer range and speed is just a bit too good. Just Starbreaker cooldown with this items is just kind of cringe, where, you know, with the 50% movement speed slow, the cast range and speed is great. But yeah, it's going to be all. Big fan of this hero. I think, again, there are different builds, but something along these lines is really nice. The Ags in particular is the selling point of this hero for me. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace!